Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated. On the last episode, Michael Collins was victorious in the 1937 general election. He's now focusing on balancing the budget to bring the events of Black Monday to an end, the economic stagnation that has hit the country. And to assist him in doing so, he is going to appoint an advisor. We will appoint Kevin O'Higgins. He's going to give increased political power gain, which we would also get from Joseph Brennan. However, the stability, the extra 5% stability, is also going to be quite beneficial to us. And it was maybe a good idea that we got Kevin O'Higgins in with that extra 5% stability, because it has just disappeared as a result of nationalist discontent in Ulster with the continuation of the pact between Sinn Féin and the Ulster Democratic Party. Nationalists in Northern Ireland have come together to form the National League for Civil Liberties under Cahir Healy. So we're being hit with a 5% stability decrease and a change in popularity of paternal autocracy by 2.5%, and it activates a new mission, political instability. Now, we're not the only ones getting some political instability. The Pacific States of America have declared war on the United States of America. The United States is in a civil war, and you can see that political instability has fitted in here under Gateway to the Atlantic. So in 359 days, this decision tree will come to an end. And if one of these two sides has 15 points more than the other, Ireland will be puppeted by that side. So this is our new deadline in place if we want to get extra industrial development from Germany or from the Union of Britain. So this is giving us weekly stability of minus 0.12%. And there we have the Second American Civil War. The destiny of America is at stake. World tensions raised by 12%. That's a hefty increase. And we're given some information on the Second American Civil War from an Irish point of view. We're told that the syndicalists are supporting, as you would expect, the Combined Syndicates of America, while the rest of the Irish political spectrum stands behind the United States government. And if we were to send a battalion, they would get various different bonuses, and they would form the Hock or Howe Brigade. I had to check this out. I believe it's in reference to the first Irishman killed in the American Civil War. This time round, we will not be sending Irish volunteers to take part in the Civil War. I'll do a playthrough where we'll become involved at some stage. And this is what the United States has descended into. And the United States itself is actually looking quite healthy. I've seen them in much worse positions where they have a kind of a thin strip running in this direction, and they get crushed between the syndicates and the American Union State. If we were to become involved, it's most likely Douglas MacArthur of the United States military that we'd be supporting, paternal autocrat. For now, we will stay out of this encounter. But considering the structural integrity of the United States at the moment, we'll see how this goes, and we'll consider if we will stay out of it completely, or maybe if we will come in on the side of the United States. Now, to become involved in the United States, we need to take some focus tree decisions, and we're already having some problems in Ireland with the anti-Ulster privileges movement. It's causing further nationalist discontent, which is hitting stability and change in popularity for paternal autocracy. So, do you know what? Douglas MacArthur is becoming a popular man in Ireland. So we've managed to balance the budget on the Sinn Féin Amháin path, which will give us the option to do some decisions to recover fully from Black Monday. Now, like I was saying, if we wanted to become properly involved in the United States Civil War, the American Civil War, we'd need to go for Ireland on the world stage, which would give us the opportunity to join various different factions, but then go down this route. So we could send an extra division to take part in the American Civil War. At the moment, we can only send one. And then this would give us another two, so we'd be up to 4 in total. Now, the other thing, of course, that we want to do is we need to finish off this path before the deadline. So we're going to have to go for solving the deficit, which is going to give us 10 steel and 10 oil in Connacht. Now, as a result of balancing the budget, we have access to full recovery from Black Monday. And what that's going to do in 639 days is remove austerity. And austerity is causing us various hits to production efficiency and production efficiency growth and our factory output. And I'm not too sure if we need to get this one done before this one. I think so. So this will, it makes sense, finish the recovery from Black Monday. And if we can get a full recovery done first of all, we will manage to get rid of austerity. I think austerity might actually remain in place if this happens. I'm not fully sure, but we are going to aim to get full recovery done first. And to do that, we're going to need to knock off a good chunk of days. The easiest way of doing that is to remove 200 days by introducing spending decreases. That's going to give us, it's actually going to make austerity worse for a period of time. So we're going to try and get the political power together to decrease spending and bring through a faster recovery from Black Monday. And we get an interesting offer, the return, the repatriation of the body of Sir Roger Casement, executed in Pentonville Prison for his role in the 1916 Rising. His body was returned to Ireland in 1965 on the condition that the Irish government did not attempt to have him buried in what was then Northern Ireland, or what had become Northern Ireland since his death. So he's buried in Glasnevin, and now, in an attempt to shore up the anarchy that's been caused by the Ely Macha incident, the Union of Britain is offering to repatriate his body. So we could gain 25 political power, 7.5 base stability, 20 influence points with the Union of Britain. We would lose political power or stability, or we would lose political power and gain influence with the German Empire. Now, where things are at the moment, it's actually neck and neck between the two. So if we take the Union of Britain, that will give them 20 extra points, and we can spend 5 of those in plumosing the German Empire. Now, we have 336 days to decrease this distance to just 10 points or less, or we're in trouble. And with the additional political power that we have been given, we can bring in some spending decreases. We're basically claiming that we need the money to bury Roger Casement. That's why there's no money in the economy anymore. We're having a big funeral. Now stop giving out. To return to the American Civil War, we are being told about our old friends in New England. No, I don't want to change the world. I'm just looking for New England. So our old friends in New England, when Cathal Brugha visited Boston and gave his first speech at Fenway Park, thousands of people attended and cried out for Irish independence. And we have an opportunity to either increase our opinion with them by 30, or say that we can't support British imperialism no matter who leads their state. I'm going to take that option. We can see that the United States, they're pushing in against the American Southern state and the combined syndicates. I think they're losing a bit of ground to the Pacific states, but I don't think they're all that pushed about it. And just as Mustafa Kemal has seized power in the Ottoman Empire, there was a big flame here, and we're told that as a result of the Civil War in the United States being the largest generator of world tension is now up at 32%. Now, you might have seen up until now that there was a little pop-up here telling us that we had insufficient resources. I couldn't be bothered spending civilian factories importing anything. Well, that's vanished now that we have found oil fields in Connacht. And I'm kind of wondering what direction to head in next. I'm looking over in this direction. Collins, I think, is getting a bit worried about being caught between the Union of Britain and the German Empire. However, it would give the German Empire 15 influence points. That's 100 units of German light tank would be added to our national stockpile, and we would gain the German light tank technology. I don't think we're going to be able to get this. So for now, it's going to be 35 days. We'll start on this one. That's actually going to pretty much level everything out if all goes well. And I think that's where it might stay. There is 320 days, but it's going to be hard to push both of these close to the 150 mark. Oh, and my perfect balancing act is going to be undone. Which side of the road are we going to drive on? Are we going to switch to satisfy the German Empire and gain 10 influence points but lose stability? Or are we going to stay driving on the left-hand side? The Union of Britain will gain 10 influence points and we will lose 25 political power, which will be, I feel, easier to get back than the stability. What a pointless waste of time. Having signed contracts with Rheinmetall for 100 units of German light tanks, Collins is not entirely sure what direction he's going to go in next. Now, we could push for air on the world stage. We would need to be part of one of the major alliances to benefit from most of this tree. What we could go down is looking to involve ourselves in the American Civil War and gain recognition from the United States. I think I might look at that in a different playthrough. I think what Collins is going to do is pretty much commit himself to at least using his connections to Germany to defend Ireland. So we're going to go for the New Ode, a reference to the vessel that was sunk off the coast of Cork prior to the 1916 Rising, which was bringing weapons across from Germany. So we need 30 influence, we have that. It's going to be 28 days. What's interesting is we could do lessons at the Prussian Staff College. 15 influence points, 15 influence points, 15 influence points. And we could get some British engineering and get 15 points there. Is Colin still keeping alive the dream of electrifying the Liffey and electrocuting all them damn fish? And Aontas ná Siúnta have used the arrival of our 100 new shiny tanks as an opportunity to criticize the government and the growing ties with Berlin. Paternal autocracy has gained in popularity by 7.5%. And they are actually in our supplies, is our units of light tanks. We're going to have to look at converting some civilian factories to military and increasing our manpower capacity as world tension increases. I was thinking around the 30-35% mark, and we're now up to 36%. So this is something that the Collins government is going to have to look at shortly as world tension continues to increase. And the worrying news from the United States of America is the partial collapse of their coastline. So they have lost a small square of land here between San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. So you could see a push into this region, and they could be completely cut off from the coast on this side. So one political party is unhappy with the Germans in Berlin, and another political party is seeking to build ties with the Germans in England. Saxon influence still makes itself felt in Ireland. Loyalists are looking basically to form closer ties and restore Ulster to a socialist London's rule. So loyalist anger is going to increase, political power gain is going to decrease. Now, I think I might have made a bit of a mistake here. If I had actually gone down the route of British engineering and gone for study industrial techniques to get the 15 influence there, we could counter it with some of the stuff that we're going to get in these decisions. There's talks on setting the clocks forward. So we could gain 25 political power with the German Empire and some... so 10 influence with them and 25 political power, or base stability and 10 influence points. Now we could actually, with those 10 from the Germans, we'd be getting quite close to being able to build the hydroelectric plant, I think we're actually going to side with the Union of Britain for that stability gain. That's kind of more important to me. The only problem is it's going to take us longer before we hit 150 with the German Empire to build the hydroelectric plant, even though we could get the Union of Britain to build it. I just want to electrify some fish. So we're getting a note from the Middle Europa Commission. They decided to implement the most supported agenda instead of the one we supported. The most supported one at one stage was our agenda, which was, I think, industrial increases, but the Germans were backing arms imports, or whatever the arms one is that they always back, and it looks like that's what they've backed again. We can also see here that full recovery from Black Monday in 372 days has overtaken the recovery from Black Monday. Now, if we get 75 political power together, we could decrease it by another 100 days. For the 60 days while it's being worked on, there would be a 10% stability fall. That is hefty. That would bring us down to 29, which is back to where we were in the prior to the election. I'm not too sure we'll go for that. And here's why we want to try and hold on to as much stability as we can, because the Unionists and Eintasnáisiúnta are taking it away from us. It is the eve of 12th of July. The 12th of July marches in Ulster. Eintasnáisiúnta, the civil rights movement, various organisations all causing bedlam. The poor guards, the amount of overtime applications that are going to be put in. Base stability has fallen by 5%. Infrastructure has been damaged. Loyalist anger increases. Nationalist discontent increases. Further decreasing stability? Maybe? Oh God. Right then, we are in a very interesting scenario at the moment. The German Empire currently has 135 points. We are plumossing the German Empire, which will bring them up to 140. We are going to purchase small arms. It's going to take 14 days. We will get 500 units of German infantry equipment, which we don't really need. And it's also going to increase their influence by 10. Now, we have completed our national focus. And for now, we're going to do nothing. And I actually didn't realize, as soon as we import the weapons, that influence takes effect. So I thought we were going to have to wait the 14 days for the influence to take effect, but no, we gained the plus 10 influence immediately when the Germans began importing the weapons as part of the decision that we had just taken, and so we will, and will be Collins's proudest moment. On par with his victory in the 37 election, the Liffey hydroelectric scheme. It's going to add 15 points. Because at the moment, the German Empire has the most. So that's going to create, at the moment, a 25-point gap between the German Empire and the Union of Britain. Now, we have 256 days to get rid of that. We could start going down some more focus with the Union of Britain. So like I said, we could go for British engineering advisors and then study industrial techniques. I think I'm actually pretty happy with what we have at the moment. If we're prepared to keep countering German influence, we could try and get lessons at the Prussian Staff College. Send Tom Barry out there. Or it'd be Daniel McKenna or J.J. O'Connell would get some benefits, potentially. Or we could go for the Krupp deal, which would grant 2 off-map military factories for 120 days or 180 days. And the other one then would be a research bonus for 300 days. I'm pretty happy. If we can electrify them damn fish, then I will be pretty happy. And on the new agenda for Middle Europa, Germany hasn't put in its vote just yet, so we don't know what way they're going to go, but at the moment, the most voted for is support for the arms industry, which would be 1 military factory in... It's saying Munster now, but it was saying Connacht a few moments ago, so hopefully a military factory somewhere would be absolutely fantastic. And what a great and glorious day this is. The Liffey hydroelectric scheme has been completed. Activates mission, Pulafuka reservoir construction. German Empire gains 15 influence points. So the Ornacrusha power plant was a major construction project in the early years of the Free State. I don't know if Ornacrusha exists, or it probably does in this universe, so Ireland is no stranger to the benefits of electric fish. And now we will have all the electric fish that we need. Where does Collins want to go after this? I think with the increasing tensions in Ulster, we're going to have to establish the Special Criminal Court, which is actually going to further hit our stability, but the crackdown on extremist propaganda is going to cancel that and then give us an extra 5%. So we're going to establish the Special Criminal Court. So we've held the negotiations with the German construction crews. They've come across and they will begin construction of a reservoir at Pulafuka. So it's going to take 120 days, and it will be cancelled if Ireland adopts a socialist government. There's no fear of Collins doing that anyway. But one place that looks like it will fall to socialism, or at least syndicalism, is Spain. The Kingdom of Spain is in a very bad situation, and they and the Carlists have lost a number of major cities to the syndicalists, and there's a large encirclement of Kingdom of Spain forces going on here, so things are not looking good for the Kingdom of Spain. We've just seen the formation of the Moscow Accord and the increase of world tensions to 40%. Russia is once again on the world stage. We have another decision on which way Ireland wants to move. Are we going to adopt the metric system? We have resisted all Central European measures to reform Ireland up to this point in time. We've kept driving on the left side of the road. We've kept I think it's daylight savings time, or we've kept the clocks on a different time. And it looks like we're also going to abide by the imperial system, because by doing so, it will give us base stability. Though I would like to be still able to order a pint. I can only imagine that this is causing absolute anarchy at Pulafuka, where the Germans are ordering 100 meters of concrete and getting 100 feet of concrete. We have the opportunity to take temporary tax increases. That will bring about a 10% stability decrease on top of the stability decrease that we're about to get from the establishment of the Special Criminal Court, so I'm going to hold off on that, considering that we're keeping everything here so well balanced. We're seeing rising British and German influence. What I'm going to do is I'm going to purchase some artillery. Now that puts the German Empire up by 10 points. They're going to be cancelled out in a few moments. So we will go back to courting the Union of Britain to keep that deficit in check. With the dramatic increase in world tensions and with the increase in our civilian factories, we're going to set about converting one of them. We've gotten up to 13 civilian factories. We're going to begin converting one of them to a military factory to help with probably the construction actually of airplanes, because we don't have any at the moment. So get some type of an air defense in place. We got a civilian factory built in Munster, so I'm going to convert one of those now to a military factory. We also got that infrastructure fixed in Northern Ireland, which was damaged as a result of recent political instability, and I've added more factories to be built in Leinster, in Connacht and Munster, and to get some infrastructure done in Connacht. Collins has established the Special Criminal Court, which is going to give us increased political power gain, but it's going to hit stability. And his next point of call is going to be to crack down on the extremist propaganda that's being spread in Ulster at the moment. That's going to hit totalism, syndicalism, and paternal autocracy. So that's Aontas Náisiúnta, who are gaining in support at the moment, as well as national populism, and we'll gain some political power, but most importantly is that base stability, 10%. We're being told that a group of exiled Scottish activists in Belfast have been raising funds for a radio station, Radio Free Scotland, to be broadcast into Britain. We could either refuse to get involved, we could say this is an inspired idea, make a small contribution, the Union of Britain would lose 5 influence points. We will simply say it is a free enterprise in a free country and gain some political power. The Treaty of Budapest has been signed. The Austrian Empire has taken 15 states. Hungary has capitulated. And a peace deal has also been made between the Serbian Republic and Bulgaria, ending their hostilities. And Ikwan has capitulated. War in South America has led to another dramatic increase in world tension. We're up to 47%. A troubling development. We have 169 days until the political instability in Ulster is dealt with. Do you know what? We're going to purchase some support equipment from the German Empire. And then Plomos, the Union of Britain, tell them, no, we're not favouring the German Empire over you. Don't be silly. And using the might of the special criminal courts, Collins cracks down on extremist propaganda, leading to an increase to base stability of 10% and some extra political power. So we've gotten stability back up to 35%. And party popularity is at 37%. Now the next route that Collins would take here would be to unite behind the president. So that would give base stability again, 5%, more political power, and quite a large change in the popularity of authoritarian democracy, but the only problem is that to get this, we first need to come down this route. And we would have to hit stability by 5% by increasing nationalist discontent. However, we would get extra political power gain from the decrease to loyalist anger, and then we'd be into maintain law and order, which would increase stability dramatically. If we need the stability, we will go down the route of uniting behind the president, and I think that will be Collins's eventual goal. For now, however, the other thing that Collins wants to do is build a professional army. I'm unsure if he's ever going to use it, but it's something that he'll want to do to at least defend Ireland. I don't know how far down this tree we're going to go. There are some really interesting options here, like max volunteer force divisions plus 4. So if you could get that and the United States tree, you would end up with 8 divisions deployed to the United States. But for now, Collins will begin developing a professional army. And from all the training that our Navy is doing, we're actually in a position to gain a naval doctrine. I'm going to go for trade interdiction, because what we're doing is building a lot of submarines. And I'm not too sure what route we're going to go for eventually. Probably this one. I think this is going to be mad for the old submarines, as Collins. And considering that we're unlocking naval traditions, I'm going to install, for now, a naval theorist. So Boyle Somerville will, in future, decrease the cost of our naval doctrine by 10%. Somerville was a retired British naval officer who was suspected by the IRA of encouraging local teenagers to recruit in the British Army. It doesn't look like he was actively recruiting. He was accused of actively recruiting. It's more that some teenagers approached him and asked him for advice, and he gave it to them, and the IRA targeted him. The belief is that Tom Barry was involved. But here, for 100 political power, and I think some telephones. No telephones. We're going to install him as our military theorist. We could have also installed a Chief of the Navy. Naval speed plus 10%. It'd most likely be Erskine Childers. So the next time around that we're going appointing people to military positions, we might give one to Erskine Childers. Ulster continues to descend into anarchy. The UPL have announced the reformation of the Ulster Volunteer Force. Grodo Honagoin is attempting to stir Catholic anger into confrontation with loyalists. And Collins has found himself unable to deal with the resurgence of paramilitarism. The centre cannot hold. Authoritarian democracy is going to decrease by 2.5%. Loyalist anger will increase and nationalist discontent will increase, hitting our stability by 5%. Our poor stability. And so Collins has begun to professionalise the army. We have a couple of different trees which have opened up to us, and this one has now been locked off. I think he's going to go back and forth between learn from the best and refurbish the Curragh camp. I don't know will we get to the Fiann Oglig. We're going to take this route anyway. So centralisation of the High Command and modernise the officer training courses. Because if a major world war breaks out, Ireland will most likely side with Germany. I don't think it'll become actively involved. However, promote the volunteer brigades would allow us to send, I think at that stage we'd be sending about 5 volunteer divisions to aid Germany. For now, we will learn from the best. Now, as a result of the Radio Free Scotland that we allowed to be set up a while ago, we're seeing an increase in Scottish exiles crossing into Northern Ireland, and we could either support this and gain 12,000 manpower. However, we would suffer 7.5% of a stability collapse, bringing us into the low 20s. I think Collins's main concern is stability. Becoming a Scottish rebel base wasn't part of the deal. It will increase stability, but loyalist anger will increase. When doesn't it? And Collins's bid to keep the stability figure positive is under threat again from the Unionists. We have shades here of the events in the late 1960s which would lead to the outbreak of the Troubles. We have an Apprentice Boys March. We have rioting around the Bogside. I think we have things being thrown down into the Bogside by Unionists. Atop the Derry walls began pelting the Catholic Bogside below with projectiles, and the Blue Shirts and the ICA have become involved, and the Guards. And we have Jack Lynch's famous "We cannot stand idly by." Loyalist anger will increase, decreasing political power gain by 0.1, and we lose 10 base stability. All of this news, however, is brought to Michael Collins at Pulafuka, where he is at the reservoir, ready to cut the red tape on one of the most ambitious, if not the most ambitious, construction projects in Irish history. We're now up to 14 civilian factories. So we're losing one because we're converting it. So we've gone from 13 to 15 civilian factories, one of which is being converted to a military factory. And that will hopefully be done by March of 38. That's actually going to take a while. But it's something that we can engage in, knowing that Germany was about to provide 2 free civilian factories for us. And the most important thing is that Collins has done a tremendous job of balancing the German Empire and the Union of Britain against each other, just a 5-point gap. However, there is 108 days until the instability caused by the Battle of the Bogside ends, and things could change before then. So we have 108 days of a rather rickety balancing act to try and keep the Irish government stable, and it looks like things are beginning to hot up in Ulster. And so while Collins is currently working on professionalising the army, which is currently learning from the best, I don't think it's going to see deployment to the Civil War in the United States. We still have the effects of Black Monday to deal with. We have our tanking stability to worry about, and indeed Collins might have to force the country to unite behind the president. And to do that and increase stability, we would first have to have him reinforce the Ulster privileges. But for now, Collins will celebrate the success of his industrialisation programme, which he has carried out with the aid of the German Empire, even if he is a bit worried about how pally-pally they've become with high-ranking members of the Irish Army. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope that on the next one you will bring a good sturdy pair of shoes. I hear it's marching season in Ulster.